I moved into this old, but charming, apartment building a few months ago. The first thing I noticed was the missing 13th floor button in the elevator, a common superstition I'd always found amusing. But today, as I headed to my apartment on the 12th floor, I pressed the button as usual, and the elevator shuddered slightly. When the doors slid open, I was met with a hallway that exuded an eerie sense of unfamiliarity. The walls were lined with faded wallpaper, and the air felt colder, almost as if it hadn't been touched by warmth in years. My gut twisted with an unshakable sense of wrongness, and I knew this was not my floor. The unsettling feeling intensified as I ventured further. The fluorescent lights flickered ominously, casting fleeting shadows that danced mockingly along the corridor. I noticed the doors were marked with strange symbols instead of numbers, symbols that seemed to shift and squirm the longer I looked at them. A low humming noise, barely perceptible, resonated through the hallway, growing louder as I approached a door at the far end. Despite every instinct screaming at me to turn back, I was drawn to it. It felt as though the door was pulling me in, whispering promises of secrets that no one had ever uncovered. As I stood before the door, the hum crescendoed to a deafening roar, and the door swung open with a creak that reverberated through my bones. Inside, I was greeted by a room filled with mirrors, each reflecting distorted, nightmarish versions of myself. In the reflections, I was trapped, pounding on the glass, eyes wide with terror. The room was a prison of endless reflections, each more grotesque than the last, as if showing me futures I was desperate to avoid. Panic surged through me as I realized that my mirrored selves were not just reflections but entities trying to claw their way out. Frantically, I stumbled back, and a door slammed shut, silencing the roar instantly. I was in darkness, and the elevator was in front of me again. I pressed the button for the 12th floor with trembling fingers, and this time, it complied. As I exited on my floor, the familiar warmth and normalcy washed over me, yet I couldn't shake the feeling of eyes watching me. I glanced at the elevator panel, and the 13th floor button flickered before disappearing entirely. I have since moved out, but every time I see an elevator, I feel a cold shiver down my spine, haunted by the thought of what might be lurking behind those doors marked by shifting symbols.